Hi, welcome back to Million Dollar Brands. I'm Laura Lian Williams with Laura Lian Design Studio, and today we have our dear friend Dave joining us. Thanks so much for joining us, Dave.
You are welcome, and I am super grateful to be here, and I'm excited to talk about branding.
Yeah, so we know you came off of a big event recently, and we want to hear how that went also.
Thanks for asking. Yeah, so a few days ago, we did our first event. It was called Break the Mold. It was a half-day professional development summit,
Awesome.
and me and four colleagues, we spoke on vision, abundance, mindset, negotiation, and marketing.
Nice.
Yeah, we had about 100 attendees, and it looks like we started a movement, so we're going to keep going, and we're going to see where it takes us through 2023.
Good. Well, congratulations. But
Thank you.
already forgot to have you introduce yourself, and you're so many things to us in the community. So why don't you share with our friends here?
Thank you. So sometimes I get confused, and that's why I wanted to talk about branding because, first of all, I am Dave LoSavio, and I do play different roles. Number one, I am a real estate agent or a realtor at the suburban office of Mark Allen Realty in Arlington Heights, Illinois. And then I do have a brand which is called Live Beyond Default. And what that is I'm doing a live stream and I'm really challenging others to play big and do things differently than they did them before, whether it's buying or selling a home or in their personal lives.
Oh.
And also I have become a life coach, and it's back with my true love of public speaking from years ago. So I am playing a lot of roles, but I do realize that number one, I am Dave LoSavio, and how do I keep that? This kind of segues into the question, like how do I keep that? How do I keep my brand aligned with who I really am? And so other people really know who I am and how I'm showing up wherever it is, versus me throwing out confusing signals, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, well, it's great that you already narrowed down that you realize you're at the center of it all. And, through those different avenues of being a realtor and being a speaker, I'm just thinking, if you could just even sit down and make a strategy and map it all out, just each of those areas and how they kind of come into the fold together. I think that would help because, yes, you're at the center of it all, but almost kind of categorize the hierarchy of what is the top priority to you. And I'm sure you only have so much time in the day, so I'd like to know just what are your goals for each of them. And I think that would help because then you can kind of know what you want to do for the branding of each, and that might help with your brand identity when you're even getting down to the details of color palette, but maybe they all share one common color thread. So then it all leads back to the Dave LoSavio brand.
I never thought about that. I like how you said map it out and create the hierarchy, and then some goals in each area.
Because I'm sure you want to do all three of them and give your all, but I'm just thinking there's only so much time in the day, and I know we all have to pay the bills too, and certain things might have just maybe different roles and priorities. So I think just kind of mapping it out would allow you to see a bird's eye view picture of how you want to approach it.
I like that. And now you've got me thinking too. So I do have goals in real estate. I do have goals of how many coaching clients I want a month, and how many speaking events I want to do every month too. And like you said, there's only 24 hours in a day. So prioritizing what comes first, and aligning that with my passion and who I am, and the energy flow, right? Because if we're doing something that we don't want to do, or putting time to it usually seems like it's harder.
Yeah.
Because you have to force it then.
Exactly.
And I don't want to force a brand. People used to call me Epic Dave 5 years ago when I did things. And then now they changed it to Abundant Dave. So again, that's another
look at you have
term
another
comes
brand
up.
going.
And I speak about abundance.
Sure.
So that can be confusing too. So I think you're right. It's time for me to map it out. And really, I do have a whiteboard. So to map it out and begin, put me in the center and put everything else on the outside.
Yeah.
I like that.
And Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, I know it's a messy process, but I think it's so rewarding at the end when you can like see a big picture because there's just so many moving parts and there's so many directions that you want to go in, but you only have so much time. So
Yeah. And then my question is too, so once you lead a client into doing that and taking those first steps, like how do you start connecting colors or feelings or like maybe a layout on a website or a promotional item? Like how do you start doing that? And it really, that comes secondary though too, right? Because that's not really your business card is not the most important thing.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Well, and kind of taking one step backwards. So once you've done that mapping out of kind of the hierarchy and how you want to look at everything, I would start with the mission and vision of each of those pieces and then the values or the goals, kind of the subset below it, just because again, there are 3 different areas and they probably have different target audiences. So I think you need to look at the mission and vision of each. And then we get into the fun stuff with the color palettes and the fonts. But I think you have to determine still the mission and vision of those, each of your businesses or goals, if you will. And then we can look at, grabbing a color from each of them and maybe they all share, like I said, a common thread of color. But so they feel like they're all under the Dave LoSavio umbrella.
I like that.
Yeah.
I am so glad that I left my corporate job.
Yeah, well, you're having so much more fun, it sounds like.
The funny thing is, though, like, I was talking to somebody about it this morning. I had a 6:30 a.m. Saturday meeting.
Oh, my goodness.
And he said, how fun is this that we get to be entrepreneurs and be in our space and create business, and it's 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday. It's still dark and we're working, right? We're both showered, we're both in our regular day clothes, and we're working. And but that's the fun of it. And I think something else I just thought of too, what you said was once we start thinking about our values, and like you said, prioritizing, then we really look deep within ourselves.
Sure. Exactly.
And then we start to decide like, okay, what's really important to us?
Right.
And maybe there's some things that we think we are and we're not.
Exactly.
Or we don't want to be because of the process that you're bringing us through.
And maybe some of those lanes too overlap even in the values. So you kind of, again, see that commonality between the two are all of the areas. But I was just thinking at the end of the day, you're still Dave LoSavio and you're going to be known in each of those areas. So we want to do it with, a lot of thought and take the time it deserves. I really tell people, like, if you love what you do, whether it's your business or you're a part of it, I really hope you love that brand that's representing you as you go out into the community.
Laura, thanks for all the kind questions and the advice. I really appreciate it. So how can people get a hold of you and what can you do for them?
Yeah, you could email us at hello@lauralian.com, and we look forward to answering your brand questions if you want to join us here on the show, $1 Million Brands. And we look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks for stopping by.